Hi. So, in today's video, I'll be telling you about my book Piglet. I'll try to give you a little bit of a summary of the book, which is a very, very complex book and a very, very complex story. But I want to tell you that Piglet is going on sale on the 28th of July. So in 2 weeks, my book is on sale. So I hope that as still for these 2 weeks, Piglet is for free, then you will reach out and drop me a line at elkinga788@gmail.com and get my book and read the book and hopefully also write the review. So yeah, therefore the short overview and what is the book about. So that's the video, the topic of my video. What is Piglet about? Okay, so Piglet is about identities. Piglet is a book about system created by the gypsy. Piglet is the book about gypsy magic and symbolism. So I think my two very basic groups are Jewish people and sexually abused people who grown into lesbians, gays, transvestites, and pedophiles. And here's why I think so. Because my life was a life that was being shaped into first Lolita that I avoid becoming. Then I was shaped into being, a stripper, and even much more than that. I would use the word a whore. And I was shaped into those decisions, into making those decisions to become a stripper, to go and work as a stripper. And I was shaped and I was guided to do, to have sex with, with men for one night, by culture, by language, by modeling, by, introducing you an idea like, oh, I could be a go-go dancer or just go and dance on the parties. That's just one of the examples. So I write about being shaped into becoming a whore, and I write about my life in the system. So, I write about my work experience and how sometimes I was just clumsy and sometimes I was made to appear clumsy on purpose. And I also write about my experience as a person who used to go to school and how some remarks were directed at me on purpose so that they would intentionally lower my value. And I write even about doctors, which is also connected with, the topic of sex too, when I happen to be infected with something. So in that sense, I write about systems. So I write about all those places we go to search for help, to search for development, to search for education. So I write about all those encounters I had with those people. And, the people who created my environment, like my immediate environment and my external environment, even at school. So you go to school and you expect to make friends, but turns out that sometimes at school I would meet people who very strongly resemble members of my extended family. So in that sense, I write about those encounters. I write about how those encounters influenced me, and I write about those people's identities too. Um, I write about their noses. So it starts with spotting the similarities, physical similarities, also a very, very characteristic gypsy nose. Um, and in that sense, that book is for those who were sexually abused and those who are just, discovering the work of covert hypnosis and all those, influences from TV, books, films, songs, and so on. And I write also about, identities of Jewish people who actually during the Second World War experienced um, identity exposure in a way that the new meaning was totally new opposite and negative meaning was assigned to it. So a lot of prejudice, a lot of judgment, um, and I just think it was connected with identity, strongly connected with identity, being scared of your own identity all of a sudden because of the context, situational context that was built around Jewish people during the Second World War. So I write about me clubbing in a Jewish town, and I was before the Second World War was um, greatly to a great degree Jewish town. I write about Tarnov, which is where I lived, and I write about those clubs, which is where I was meeting, boys. Um, so So I think that my gypsy family is responsible for acting out a lot of other people's stories. They act those stories out with their own lives, and they use a lot of symbolism in what they do. They, for example, pay attention to your first job, first kiss, first sex, and they try to navigate those things so that they will come back in the same shape and form to you, and they try to give you a lower quality experience and to have it come back to you. And um, and I believe they try to influence and they try to manage other people's stories via manifestation uh, imposed by books that you teach, you used to teach English, or films you watch, or songs you sing. So via the repetition you kind of manifest things without you being aware how energy works. So my book Piglet focuses mainly on me experiencing the system and focuses on me discovering Jewish history and the history of my hometown, that is Tarnów, that actually nowadays is just filled with white gypsy people. And a lot of the bars that I have discovered were actually the owners were the gypsy. So in the city center of my hometown, we have the Gypsy Museum, and we have the bars where the gypsy happen to be the owners. And when you look at them, they actually don't look like gypsy, just as I look like probably like a Polish woman to you, but I'm gypsy too. So I believe the Gypsy to a great degree are responsible for Holocaust. And I believe so because the way that Jewish people were killed during the Holocaust, for me, looks like a dialogue to a great degree with the Jewish people's tradition, beliefs, and you know, the way they live their lives. And um, sure thing, it was, a longer event um, that lasted. It lasted way too long, and it involved many more people. Um, but I strongly believe it's the work of the witches. It's the work of a cult, and I believe the gypsy that I know were responsible too. So, in my book, I tell you about the Jewish history. I tell you about their numerology. I tell you about, my encounters with number 6, 26, number 9, number 8, and then even number 3 and number 11 too. And I tell you about pig. So I tell you about symbolism and a little bit probably about mysticism too. I tell you about my experience of, becoming a better person, and then what was the good feeling that came to me when I started to, incorporate, so to say, my shadows and started to learn to talk about, those things that I would consider to be a failure, right? Um, so, in my videos, Push the Pig Out on the channel, Push the Pig Out. I tell you more in details what is Piglet about. So in this video, I wanted to address, my two main recipients, my two main groups. So I believe those two main groups are Jewish people and people who are sexually abused and people who happen to be gays, lesbians, transvestites, as well as pedophiles. That's my second group. And my book generally speaks about the system created by the gypsy, where I just go from place to place. I change the work, I change the school because it started to give up. And I just have those encounters where I start to identify people, not even in the process of experiencing, of working in a given place, but just when sitting and working on my book, Piglet. So there are a lot of references, there's my love of stories, and I think the gypsy basically like stories, and they put more focus on, the work of your voice within the manifestation, where the visuals are important too, and they go and model for you your behaviors, but they want you to think some words and say some words, so that those words would shape your reality, so that those words would become your reality. So, yeah, so Piglet is a book that's mainly addressed to those two groups, but I believe, there are many more people out there who should know about the work of covert hypnosis, who should work about the influence of manifestation and why you should, think certain things and avoid thinking some other things, and how meditation can help you navigate through all that. So, sure thing, I believe it's for everyone. But I have my, two main focus groups. And in my book entitled Mouse, I explain more other, not archetypes, but other identities that I have observed when growing up. Other identities that people are intentionally being shaped into, while at the same time being sexually abused. So, so Mouse is gonna be also, I think, a useful read for anyone who experienced sexual abuse. And in the meantime, you can start learning about the content of Mouse uh, on my website. Okay, so Piglet is officially coming with the price of €1 on the 28th of July, and the price will be growing a little bit. So I'm still gathering reviews, so please reach out and just tell me that you want to get Piglet, because for 2 weeks it's still for free. So yeah. So yeah, reach out, get it, read it, prepare your review, and enjoy your day, and talk to you soon.